Okay, something else I wanted to bring up again, and I'm back to, can you see all the dimples, or not dimples, but bumps on this surface again. I'm not sure how well you can see those, but it's just full of them again. So, what do I think now? Well, all my other theories of what's happening in the past has been wrong. And what I have discovered is that somewhere in the epoxy itself, we are introducing little flakes of material. Get to something dark colored. Can you see those in there? All those little flakes. Of course, now we're in a dark spot, but it's no light here either. Oh, well, here, this should work. Okay, see all those little flakes down in there? And there's a lot of fairly big flakes, at least in this cup here. And then lots and lots of little ones that you can't hardly even really see probably. But this is the last little bit of what I had mixed when I was working here the other day. And what we got going there is something coming out of the epoxy containers themselves. And I suspect it's these pumps. I don't know if somehow the material is curing or drying on the insides of the pumps, because I've looked inside and I can't see. Of course, granted, it may be a little difficult to see things down inside there, but I don't think there's any material in the epoxy itself. I think it's coming up through these pumps somehow. Exactly how, I don't know. And which one, I don't know for sure. Like I said, I can't see anything in the actual containers, but I'm obviously introducing a lot of particles from somewhere. Now, fortunately, I'm almost out of this epoxy, so I've got more coming. I ordered more last week, or actually earlier this week, so it'll be here, I think Tuesday it's supposed to be here, this coming Tuesday. Today is Friday, so I got a few more days and I'll have more epoxy. But I hate to waste, because I've got, you know, I got a gallon up here, almost a full gallon up there, and I got new pumps ordered too. I got a little bit here, and then I got a full gallon down there and a little bit more there. So I think what I'm going to do is I'll probably use the stuff that I've still got. I'll use it on jobs where I just need thickened epoxy. And when I'm doing coating, I'll start using all the new stuff and the new pumps when I'm doing coating like this, because this is not a good deal when you have all these bumps in the surface. Now, they will sand out, and of course, if we get another coat of epoxy, or when we get another coat of epoxy on here, if it's a clean coat, it'll be fine. But still, it's kind of a pain, and it's not real enjoyable having to redo things, or, you know, do all this sanding, and you shouldn't need to. But anyway, we'll get back at it. This piece here is going to go on today. I need to get it washed and scrubbed, and then of course I'll have to sand it because of all those bumps on there. And depending on how much sanding I have to do, I may wind up putting another coat of epoxy on this too. I don't know. We'll see. I think if I have to use this epoxy again, I will probably not use the pumps. I will probably just use the graduated mixing cups, so I can have the marks levels on them for a 3-to-1 mix ratio. We'll see, but I think we'll probably be all right with this one once I sand it, once I get it cleaned up and sanded, and it'll probably go up today. Because like I said, it needs another coat of epoxy on the whole thing once it's on the boat, and then it'll get a primer and top coats and all that too. So I'm sure it'll be fine. All right, so I've sanded this sheet down that had all the bumps on it, and I had to get fairly aggressive sanding, and I used my big Bosch Turbo 6-inch sander here with 80 grit paper on it, and I'm pretty sure I took almost all of that last layer of epoxy that I'd put on off. So I'm going to put a new layer of epoxy on, so yeah, it's going to set me back a couple days again for this next layer of epoxy to cure, but so be it. It's easier to do now, to get it sanded smooth now and get a decent layer of epoxy applied than it is going to be to do it once it's on the side of the boat. So, and I know it's another couple days. I'm going to have to wait for this to cure up before I can put this panel on. But I just think it's going to be better to do it now. So I've got it sanded, I brushed it off, I blew it off with air. Now I'm going to wipe it down with alcohol, let that dry. Then we'll mix up some more epoxy, and hopefully, like I said, with this epoxy I've got, hopefully I can pour this into a cup and not have those particles in there, and just mix it by the graduating marks on the cups there, on the mixing cups. And if that doesn't work, if I still have particles in there, yeah, then we'll have to wait until next week when the new epoxy comes in, I guess. We'll find something else to do for a few days. But anyway, so that's what the plan is on this, and I'll let you know how it goes once I get the coat on here. Alright, so here's the day after I put my new coat of epoxy on here. Now it needs another day to dry or to cure, and then it needs to be the amine blush cleaned off, but I don't know if you can see the difference, but it's like significant. You're always going to get a few little imperfections in the surface, little dimples or bumps, simply because we're not working in a paint booth, but yeah, this is massively better. And I mixed this batch of epoxy without using the pumps, and quite frankly I'm not sure which ones are the problems. This one here was giving me flakes, and I labeled and that one up there was giving me flakes, so I don't know if that was, and I've been trying to switch things around and switch pumps around, and so at this point I'm not even sure if we've got any, if the pumps are I think the pumps are the problem. But anyway, I used this stuff here, which is the stuff I had been using and not having any problems with. So I used this stuff and it was fine. So like I said, we got new batch of epoxy coming in next week, and new pumps. So yeah, we'll just probably ditch all the old pumps and just work with new stuff. But anyway, I just thought I'd show you that. Okay, work continues on the boat, but the real news is outside. Let's take a look at the eclipse. Oh, wait. So much for the eclipse. Greetings and welcome back to the boat shop. Today is, the 10th of April, 2024. And I continue on with work on the side of the boat here, on the port side. And I've got the next piece just about ready to put up. I've been filling screw holes ahead of what I've been, or I've been putting the plywood on, and then planing and sanding, and then putting the copper naphthenate on. Today, I put this piece of plywood up here and got it marked, so I got an accurate representation of where the glue needs to go when the board goes up here. Because on these side pieces, at least, it's a lot easier to put the adhesive on the side of the boat and then bring the sheet up and put it in place into the adhesive. Now when I get down here, of course, it's kind of hard to stick the adhesive up underneath here, so then I put the adhesive on the sheet itself, and that makes it a little more challenging, but it works. Now another work that I've been doing, if you can see up there in the corner there, I got that edge cut off. I have not run the router on it to get it perfectly smooth yet, but that'll happen. And then I used to cut the top where the raised shear goes up there on the deck, where it meets the deck. I used a circular saw to cut that, and that's a straight cut there. Now everything else is going to be, I need to trim all that down. You can see there's quite a bit of excess up there on this side. So that'll all have to be cut off. And as you can see, I left the screws relatively low, so hopefully I don't cut into any of those screws when I'm cutting or planing that, which I do occasionally. But anyway, yeah, so I got that started, and I'm going to have to spring a batten along this side. So what I've been doing is laying a drill bit on the frame on the inside there, or on the deck beam actually, and drilling a hole through there, so that gives me the point, a reference point on the outside of this hull. And then I'll have to, for this part here is a little curved. I mean, there's a little dip to it along the length of the boat. So what I'll do there is I'll spring a batten along there, and I'll have to start doing that once I get my scaffolding moved this way forward a little bit more. Then I can start cutting that down to meet the deck beams, so the deck will go on there flush. But yeah, I got the next piece pretty much ready to go in. I just put the last coat of epoxy on it, about an hour ago or so, and you can see there's still a bunch of little bubbles in there, or bumps in there. Not too bad, but there's still some in here. This will be all right. This will get sanded and another coat goes over top of it. But I did get my new epoxy in, and you can see there's all my stashes of epoxy now, fresh epoxy. In this last piece, I used this stuff. What I haven't been doing though is using the pumps. I've been just taking the cap off and mixing with the graduations on the mixing containers there. I think that's where the problems were coming from. Now this stuff, and you see I marked that it's got some flakes in it. It still does have some flakes in there. They fell off the pump, I'm sure. So there is still a few particles in here, but if I'm pouring off the top, so the vast majority are not getting into my epoxy now. But you can see I got a bunch of pumps here, and I'm going to throw all these pumps out. Yeah, just whatever happened there, I don't know. If they're just getting old, or if the epoxy reacted somehow, some way to something and created those flakes. But yeah, I got a couple of containers that have those flakes in there. There's another one up here that has the flakes in it. You can see I labeled that as such also. So predominantly I'm going to use these when I'm mixing thickened epoxy, and I think I'll quit using these for like what I'm doing here on the surface, because it just leaves too many little bumps, little imperfections on the surface. I have not done anything here yet because I ordered some plastic to use to cover the mandrel, and that is here. And I should have opened that so I could have showed it to you, but I'll show it to you when I start using it. Hopefully this is the same stuff, I think it is, that I used to use in the past. Acetate is what they called it, and the stuff that I'd used in the past. And this actually doesn't say acetate on the package, but it did on the listing on the website. So I don't know actually what the difference is. I don't know if acetate is a chemical compound, in and of itself, or if it's just something, a generic term. I don't know. I never really looked into it that closely. But yeah, so we keep on plugging away at this. I expect this week I'll start getting to work on these fiberglass tubes. I just got that plastic in today to cover the mandrel. But yeah, it's going all right. I had a little help today to put this panel up into place so I could mark it. That's the problem, is these panels need to go up there twice. I do an original template of what I need, and then I cut it out. Then I really need to put it back up there and then mark it on the side of the hull where it goes in place, so I can get the glue positioned precisely when I'm doing that. But yeah, I'm having to sand and plane these surfaces to get the surfaces all nice and smooth. And here you can see I've been working on this here and getting these planed close to their final position. Yeah, this is all the planing chips. But you can see here's where I drilled one of those holes. Drilled another one in here. It's pretty much gone, but yeah, in fact it is gone. I cut it out. It was right here. You can just maybe see that. But anyway, that's how we're getting this to the level of these. And then of course I had to plane these down too. There's about a, I don't know, inch and a half, inch and a quarter drop from where the pilot house sits to the edge here, and that'll be for water to drain off. And that matches the curvature of the deck beams to a certain extent. Yeah, so that's been done, and this is cut off. And then you can see back here, this is why I need to get my flush trim router bit in there and get that down flush. And then you can see this here needs to be cut off too. And again, this has got a little bit of a curve to it, so it'll need to be marked and then a batten strung between there and then cut off. And some of those deck beams, the tops, some of those, not deck beams, frames, the tops, some of those frames need to be cut off yet too. But once we get this on here all the way up forward, then I'll go back and start putting these on, which these are actually quite easy. These upper ones here, they're a lot, well, they're smaller primarily, but then they're straighter too. And then of course we'll have, down here we'll have some more layer to go forward from here also. But those are, again, small ones, and while they still do take time to do, they aren't so difficult to get in place. But anyway, so yeah, not a whole lot, anything exceptional to report. Just we're continuing on.